Good morning again, everybody. Great pleasure to meet you all. I would love to meet you personally. I can say I'm really hungry for personal encounters, but in times like this is not possible. Therefore, thank you again for all of you for joining this meeting. I hope all of you are somehow happy. I hope you are strong. And I think the most important thing is I hope all of you, your families and your employees are healthy in times like this. I think it's the first series that we started Automechanika, Let's Talk Business. I think we have so many urgent and pressing topics which we would like to discuss in a series of talks with experts like you. And over the next months, we have planned and scheduled that we will have these talks and discussions with a lot of experts from your industries so that we get really inside knowledges on what is going on in challenging times as we are currently facing. Let's have a look, but a very brief one on the current situation. I think with COVID-19, we're all facing enormous challenges, unpredictable challenges. In many industries, there are industries who are clearly winners, but there are a lot of industries as well who are not profiting at the moment from this situation. This industry where we are in, Messe Frankfurt, and I think you all know that we are not a startup company in terms of age. We are 780 years in the business now, but Messe Frankfurt, when I ask our founders, they have never seen something like this. Our business model has really been totally disrupted since the 1st of March this year. Since the 1st of March, Messe Frankfurt, and I think this is no secret, we are basically operating on a zero revenue base. We have not done any physical shows, either in Frankfurt or around the world, with one exception, I will explain. And we'll be operating and our network is in 180 countries around the world. But all our physical activities totally stopped since this. We have started, fortunately, some activities 6 weeks ago in China, where we're operating again physical encounters, exhibitions. They're doing pretty well, but I must say they are much more on a regional base when it comes to exhibitors and, of course, especially from visitors. The rest, as I mentioned, all our activities have been banned. And this situation is traumatic for the event and exhibition industry. If I give you a perspective, we hopefully and believe, but this is as of today, and this COVID-19 is unpredictable, that hopefully we'll be planning in Frankfurt that we're going to start our physical exhibition in the area of consumer goods, Ambiente, our textile fairs, roughly, and this is dated off today by the mid of April. Let's cross fingers that it will be possible. But not only our industry has been hit very hard, it has always, this situation, a tremendous impact on your industry of mobility and logistics. We take a look on a sneak preview of Automechanika. We decided to join forces together with you and to launch digital offers in Germany with formats as we're starting as of today. And under the title Automechanika Sneak Preview, we have put together a program, the team of Michael and Olaf and Anke Klusak, where we have a program of web seminars and videos for training fees. This works pretty well, we must say. It's a great success at the moment. We have reached a potential reach of 100,000. Films and workshops have been already viewed by 25,000 times. In this time, I think you all agree, it is extremely important that we connect together with experts like you, that we learn and share best and worst practices. And I think one thing which really is reinforced by COVID-19 is the area of cooperation, competition, co-creation, and collaboration, basically. If we take a look on hopefully the first Automechanika physical event, which will not take place, of course, in Germany, but then we go again to China, We have pretty good news on China. As I mentioned, we are operating already with exhibitions since about 6 weeks in China. And when we take a look on the preview of Automechanika in December, this looks as well pretty promising. At the moment, Michael and Olaf, we have 4,500 exhibitors who will take place there. And those visitors who cannot travel to China, of course, we will have a digital offer for them, which we will have as well in the future for all our exhibitions anyway. This is a short introduction from my side. Much more deep insight will now give you Michael Johannes, and I would like to hand and give the floor to Michael, please.
Thank you so much, Detlef. I would like to say good morning to everybody. We are actually very proud to have this Let's Talk Business invented, because it's important for the industry, especially in these days, to get as much information as you can. And I'm very thankful to the CEO of Impact, Thomas Fischer, who helped us a lot to make this day possible. But first of all, I would like to introduce the participant for today. It's Mr. Manfred Baden, who is the President Automotive Aftermarket Robert Bosch GmbH. Good morning.
Good morning, everybody.
We have with us today Jean-François Beauvaron, who is the Vice President Aftermarket EMEA Delphi Technologies. Good morning, Jean-François.
Bonjour.
We have with us this morning Helmut Ernst, who is the Senior Vice President Aftermarket of ZF.
Also, good morning from my side.
Morning. We have with us this morning Michael Söding, CEO Automotive Aftermarket Schaeffler AG. Good morning, Michael.
Good morning to all of you. Happy to see you.
And last but not least, we have with us this morning Rolf Sudmann, Executive Vice President of ContiTech.
Good morning, everybody.
I would like to hand over. You all know Olaf Mussow, who is the director for Automechanika Frankfurt, and we start with our session now. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Good morning also from my side to everybody. And we would like to do this Let's Talk Business by question and answers. And if anybody who is not asked would like to add, please feel free to add your opinion to the questions. Mr. Baden, what is the actual situation of your company referring to the automotive aftermarket after more than 9 months of Corona pandemic?
Well, I have to say the entire Bosch group felt a severe impact from the coronavirus pandemic in the first half of the year. We had to scale back production in 20 countries and roughly 100 plants. And in addition, 10,000 associates were working in task forces and 100,000 at home. But despite this difficult situation, in particular in the second quarter of this year, we managed to maintain our supply chains over the entire period. And this provided us a very good basis for the ramp up during the last months. Today, we can say that the demand in almost all product areas of the aftermarket has clearly improved again. And even more, the challenge we are facing right now is to manage rising and unplanned orders. But I also have to say, with all the given imponderables, a reasonable forecast for this year as a whole is currently not possible.
Thank you, Mr. Baden. Mr. Beauvaron, would you like to add something from my point of view?
Yeah, I just wanted to add that, generally speaking, we're probably living a crisis that is a one-in-a-lifetime crisis, and by the look of it, we're not out of it. We have second waves cranking all over the place, and really we've been living in a roller coaster for the last few months. The business went down so dramatically fast in March time, April time, and recover as well quite significantly in summertime. That has shown for me the resilience of aftermarket, because we have a market that is more resilient than OE, for example, where the damages were more considerable. And it has forces us to be extremely agile. And Manfred was mentioning people. We had to protect our people. We had to make sure that we cope with all government help we could in all countries that were differently affected. And though the situation since summertime is getting much better and recovered in nearly all the countries, we are still seeing, with a second wave in front of us, a huge uncertainty about what the year end will be.
Yeah. Yeah, and I see nodding heads, so I think this point of view is shared by most of you. And Mr. Baden already mentioned the supply chain of Bosch. Mr. Sutman, did you face any major problems in the supply chain regarding your business?
Definitely, yes. But I would not call them major problems, but major challenges. Yeah? As many partner manufacturers and Jean-François and Mr. Baden also explained that from their side, we all have these challenges in the forecasting and the complexity in the international supply chain and with all our branches. To be honest, this wide branches system was not really resilient in the springtime when we all had the first time to face with this Corona crisis. There was no blueprint about this situation. We had no history about it, and it was very difficult to challenge this situation. And on the other side, it has also shown up that we need to be much more closer with our customers in the kind of forecasting to handle the situation in the outlook of the business. And this is the major field we will focus on in the future. How can we connect the supply chain systems of our customers and our own system to handle such a kind of situation?
We are very proud that all your companies supporting Automechanika worldwide so heavily, and due to the fact, how has the demand developed in the different regions of the world? What is the market situation? Mr. Baden, can you give us a brief update about Europe, Middle East, and Africa?
Well, the markets in Europe, but also Middle East and Africa, have recovered significantly during the past months. In the first half of this year, the European and the Middle East market dropped an average in the passenger car segment by 18% versus previous year. And also in light and commercial vehicles, we faced a drop by 14%. However, in the third quarter, the market recovered by a plus 20% versus the first 6 months. And that was almost on the same level as previous year. This positive development was certainly supported by a consistent crisis management that some countries have introduced. Now to Africa. Africa suffered an even more negative impact. This means a minus 30% in the passenger car segment versus the first half of last year. And this was due to a harder GDP slowdown, and government economic support packages are almost not available. So in the third quarter, a partial recovery was seen by 18% in comparison to the first half of the year. In general, in Africa, the development differs from region to region. Most stable is the northern region. But once again, I have to say, no one knows how the year ends. With the corona numbers rising currently again all over the world, no reliable future prognoses are currently possible. And therefore, we have to follow up the situation, and we have to act flexible on an early stage.
Thank you. Mr. Ernst, could you tell us something about the market situation in India, China, or in Asia?
Yes. Asia has a total different picture as what we see in Europe, also due to the situation that COVID-19 started in China already, as you know by now, in August last year. So they had the peak somewhere in December, January, taking advantage of the break on the year end. And there was already a comeback in China starting with February. So the first months this year, maybe a little bit like 10% back to the previous year. But since the middle of the year, China is already on the same level as it was in 19. And we see in the last quarter that they are even above the last year. So for China, frankly speaking, in the aftermarket, I would say is again a year where they have increased the aftermarket in percentage-wise. If you look to India, total different story. I would say India can be said, you know the name, Incredible India. This year we can say chaotic India because they haven't been able really to work on that. The private area, like do it for me, what we know in the aftermarket, more or less not existing. Business to business, they are back by 20 or 30% against last year, but somehow they are still able to keep that. And then we look, if we also take Oceania to that, like Australia and New Zealand. New Zealand, you know, totally blocked the borders. Australia, the same. So what is possible to be made on their islands, to say so, it works, but no export, import in a normal manner. So also 15, 20% back. But as what I have to say, we see in Asia that they have reacted to the COVID much more, I would say, early and controlled, with the exception, of course, of India. And so therefore, like Singapore and others, they also now harvested, I would say, the success of that. So for us, Asia is really that part in the world where I would say they made it in the best way.
Thank you, Mr. Ernst. Mr. Söding, could you tell us something about the market situation in North America and Latin America?
Well, pleasure. Let me first make reference to everything that Manfred Baden has said as a general observation, and that holds also true for the Americas as a whole. So after a good first quarter, even some hoarding activities in the month of March, there was a steep decline in all the Americas in Q2, which is then followed by a full swing back to much higher numbers in Q3. Specifically to North America, we have to say that in the context of rising unemployment, but also softened from the government by state-funded money, we saw a very specific business in the do-it-yourself channel. So those companies that are quite active, the retailers in that channel, they are even reporting 20% growth even in the Q2. And namely in South America, obviously, like in other regions, there is a full swing back now as individual mobility is the communication also for the future. That therefore, I have to say we are back to what I would call the business level of the recent year, but it's by far too early to say whether the new normal is like the old normal or whether there will be certain setbacks going forward.
Thank you, Michael.
Yeah, thank you very much. So Mr. Baden already gave an answer to the next question, and Michael Söding also kind of gave an answer. But I still ask the question, Mr. Sugman, what are your business expectations for the next, say, half a year, 6 months? Is there something you could predict or forecast?
Yeah, it's difficult. As Michael and also Mr. Baden explained in the beginning, of course, in the name of Continental, we can't give clear numbers, but we are moderately optimistic about the outlook for the replacement business in 2021. And I will underline that with several trends we see very clearly in the market. First of all, the private people and car owners are using their car instead of public transportation. This is a clear trend also not only in Europe, also in North America and also in Asia. And the end consumer are investing also now in private car for maintenance to be fit for this situation. Second, in the current situation, people decided, especially for traveling on vacation, to use their own car instead of planes, trains, and so on. And this will also help us in the replacement business. And third, the current uncertainty in the OE business is leading to a significant increase for second used cars for this direction. And this will also help us because people will invest in maintenance in the existing, but also in the second used cars, because this is a clear trend. And with all some other trends we see, we are very, very optimistic for the replacement business in 21. Of course, as Michael has also explained, there are a lot of uncertainties, especially after the second wave, how this will affect our production and, of course, our supply chain in general. But the market in general will recover for the replacement business. That's a clear expectation we have.
Okay, so not too bad. Thank you very much. I have another question to Mr. Bouverin. Given the fact that you are right in the middle of it, how do you estimate the effects of consolidation efforts in your industry?
I think the consolidation is going to come in the entire industry, whether it's a production at the original equipment level or it's in the distribution and aftermarket. We're probably facing one of the biggest change in the industry. I mean, everybody talks about green electrification, autonomous vehicle. And this will require for all the actors to be in a leading position in every other segment. So not only it's not about the overall size of a company that will matter. It's about your size in a given technology and if you can be a leader or not. There will be huge investments, and there are already huge investments coming in. And I think you can only cope with these investments and this market if you're in a absolute leading position with your customers. And I see this coming for all the major technology change that we will be facing in the very near future.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Ernst, Detlef Braun already mentioned Automechanika Shanghai, which is in pretty good shape this year. And we also heard from your side about the market of China, briefly about the current situation. But how do you estimate the development and importance of the Chinese market in the near future?
Okay, China was already in the past a really important market, and there is basically a forecast that by 2025 it will be by far largest aftermarket market in the world, and that has proven. And I think this year, especially with COVID, it was even, I would say, an accelerator for that. And as we have waited several years to the independent aftermarket in China to become a mature market, we see now that several players are moving into that area to drive consolidation, local ones, but also from outside. And it's also interesting to see that China, as a driver of the electric mobility, is agile enough and I would say active enough also to take steps to keep even vehicles with combustion engine longer on the road in order to allow also people with a lower income to stay mobile with automotive elements. And that is something I would say where also Europe can cut a piece off and take a learning from there.
Thank you very much.
I think in this crisis there are a lot of challenges, and but I think we can find also some opportunities. Michael, what are the key learnings you take from the pandemic crisis regarding production, logistics, and also sales?
Well, I believe that doesn't come with a surprise. So first of all, we have to really focus on the health and safety of all our associates. And that says establishing a really profound crisis management is the key topic. Going forward and not knowing what's going to happen, whether it's shutdowns, or whether the infections that happen outside the company it does not have no chance to creep into the company. So we have to avoid any kind of shutdown, which means we have to separate shifts from each other. We have to separate associates from each other, so that in case something happens, somebody gets positive, not the whole company or a large part is affected. So that's really crucial. Avoiding any type of shutdown is the next thing in production, in logistics. Have your activities fully in operation, and then obviously we had to learn that the signal. Manfred Baden already mentioned it. Forecasting obviously is a big topic in our industry. That the signal that is coming from our direct customer is not enough, but that you need a direct link to what is the mobility on the individual market. So we are tracking mobility data, and then we also track the difference between the sell-in and the sell-out of our customers. So to give you one example, if you look into the stats from all those companies that officially release their figures, you see that for those on the distributor side who are releasing that, there was a reduction in Q2 sales of about 15%, while in the related supply industry, there was a reduction of about 30%, which means our distributing customers were very cautious reducing their own stock level. And part of the swing back that we now see in Q3 is not related to the real demand on the road, but building up stock level again. So we have to track the mobility data on the road as well as what our customers is doing to have a better understanding what the demand is going to be like in the next period.
We are very proud that we have 5 so important companies of the automotive aftermarket here together. And Mr. Bouveron, what are your learnings out from the crisis?
I think I can only confirm what Michael say, and if I put the crisis a bit in perspective, there were some trends in our industry, and the crisis has really accelerated these trends. And I just want to mention 4 for me that are absolutely important. One is digitization. We do so many things today per digitized media that we didn't thought to doing a couple of months ago. And the trend is going to increase and continue, and how well are we prepared to face this? The second one I want to mention is e-commerce, where in the middle of the crisis, we were seeing sales down at our distributor level by 15, 20, 25%, or even more sometimes. The e-commerce activity was showing plus 40, plus 50%. This is a trend we need to be prepared for. It's an absolutely important one. I think another one to mention is the automation of our processes, and the one I'd like to mention, and I want to insist, like my colleagues did, is are we good enough in managing the supply chain and getting the information we need to replenish and properly serve our customers? And I believe the answer is no today, and we need to work on that. And the fourth one, which is the obvious one we're facing, is consolidation. There will be consolidation in the industry already happening, and I know what I'm talking about, but there will be consolidation at distributor level as well, and it will challenge our current model. And all of this, for me, on these 4 aspects, we need to be prepared for.
Thank you so much. I think it's just my turn, Ola. I'm right?
Please.
Mr. Baden, what advice would you like to share with the attendants?
I have to underline what was mentioned already before. One of the most important prerequisites for maintaining economic success in the current conditions is to create safe working conditions for all associates. By doing so, the associates return to their workplace without fear and can utilize their full potential there. The second point is flexible working time. So if associates experience with all the measures that are implemented at the workplace to be safe there, then they will return, but they do not like to use crowded buses in peak hours. So flexible working time is another very important point. In addition, the current situation forces us to leave familiar ways and processes in order to solve new challenges. And it's really great to see how creative our associates are when it comes to problem solving if you provide the freedom to think in new directions. And I'm sure my colleagues in the other companies experience the same.
Thank you, Mr. Waden. Mr. Ernst, would you like to give us or the audience some advice?
Yeah, I can only say to Manfred Baden exactly the right way to go. You have to create a safe workplace, and the data shows it's safer in the company than at home or in public. And with this underlying, people really like to be there. And then, of course, stay close to your customers in whatever way, because you might see, if you look back to your week, that you haven't been able to contact to the one or other of your customers. Make a very clear structure that you are not losing those ties what you have. Try to phone them and, if possible, in any way, convince them to use some, I would say, social media structures so that you really can see each other like what we do with a camera at least. Because just only talking to each other, not seeing, it is just half of the story. And then try to get as much information from different sources as possible, because everything is unpredictable and you have to act in a very volatile way to speed up. Drive to digitalization, what was already said. Keep an eye on e-commerce. That is the winning channel in this one moment. Let's see whether it stays. And then also keep an eye on the supply chain and avoid, for, I would say, close to every cost, avoid the disruption of that, because that we see in the moment, there is a fight also in our plants between the OE guys, what are ramping up, and the aftermarket on the other side, and it's a daily fight, to say so. We are really discussing single parts to get from the lines in order to serve our customers, and I know that is similar in some of my colleagues' plants also. And again, it's a proven fact that the aftermarket is one more time the robustness in the crisis. So we see that the importance of the aftermarket in our companies is seen very much different as in pre-crisis time. So we have much more people looking to us, not only to us, but mainly also, of course, to the money what we earn.
So that means more responsibility, Mr. Ernst.
More people want to help you making business, I would say.
Thank you.
I would also like to pick up what Mr. Bouvard said as one and focused on as one of the major trends he sees for the future, which is consolidation. And also ZF, Mr. Ernst, is a driver of consolidation. So what do you see as the effects of this consolidation in the industry?
Of course, what we will see that money, even if you think there is enough, but money will get short for those companies where the future is in doubt with a question mark. The closer you are to combustion engine drivetrain or powertrain elements, the more a bank would put its doubt whether there is really a future, and they would cut money short. So these will be victims to takeovers or consolidation. That's for sure. And the bigger and more diverse a company is, it more can play on the other side of that, let's say, consolidation game. And we will see that. So COVID-19 will be an accelerator for that. And it will be in the, let's say, in the complete chain, whether this is the supplier, and we will also see it, and we have seen it already in the car manufacturers, and we see it down the road to the wholesalers and to others also. And if I look to CF as our company, we will reach the 2019 figures maybe in 2023. Some of our product lines maybe even in 2025. And it's also predicted that some of that, they will never come back to that. Because we see in the same moment also the move to the electric mobility. And we see also when we look to truck or to others, we see that that also is really increased. And if we look to the European community, what they have for figures outside now, even increased to the figures what we have to reach in CO2 reduction, you can only reach that with electric mobility. And COVID-19, together with electric mobility, together with shortage of money, drives the consolidation. And I think we will see that. If you look outside truck, bus, of highway, agriculture, they were more or less not touched from the crisis, but Pesca most. So therefore, I would predict we see, especially in Pesca, most of that consolidation also.
Thanks a lot for this insight.
Here comes a very important question, Mr. Baden, which is also in the interest of Messe Frankfurt, especially of Automechanika. What do you think of digital or hybrid formats in these times? Did you or will you engage in any digital substitutes instead of real events or exhibitions?
Even though I personally prefer face-to-face meetings with my business partners, digital events are an excellent opportunity under the current conditions to stay in contact with our customers and also with all the other stakeholders. So of course, we will use this format. Fortunately, we at Bosch Automotive Aftermarket have the necessary technical know-how and the digital platforms, as well as many years of experience in organizing virtual training courses, for example, and also virtual customer events. I personally believe that digital formats provide a lot of opportunities, but cannot always replace face-to-face meetings. And therefore, depending on the situation, an efficient and fruitful communication and discussion will consist in future of a good mix of both formats. So meaning face-to-face, provided the situation allows it, and digital.
Thank you, Mr. Baden. Michael, would you like to add something, or would you like to give us your view on that?
Yeah, pleasure. And I just start with the example. In a couple of minutes, we run our General Assembly of the Impact this year. And the original idea, gentlemen, has been on your invitation at Messe Frankfurt to run it as an offline, as a live event. And we had to learn in a couple of weeks it doesn't work that way, so we have to move it digitally. That means not to be prepared to meet and discuss digitally is not an option anymore. And therefore, I would say we always need the digital solution as well, because postponing or even canceling things is not an option anymore for us. So that means being digitally prepared and then on a most flexible manner try to engage face to face. Because as Manfred has it, this being spontaneous, every type of coincidence, just bumping into each other, exchanging things, that is something where we learn in these digital formats that doesn't work the way that real engagement does. So I'm very much in line with Manfred Baden. We need both, and we have to use it as flexible as possible. Thank you again for your invitation. We try it next time.
Thank you so much. So, gentlemen, I think we had a very interesting insight of the automotive aftermarket industry, and so from our point of view, we will continue to enhance more digital products like we did today. Let's talk business. We will have more to come. We invented also the expert talks, which we did last week, for example, at the Nürburgring with the topic of refuels. I think we have to put more content on the digital formats, but nevertheless, for us, it's important that we will see each other in September 2021 in Frankfurt live and personally. I thank all of you very much for being here today. And I would like to give the floor, the words to Detlef Brown for the closing remarks.
Thank you very much, Michael. Thank you very much to everybody. I can tell you, I think this was a pretty good start of our new series. I learned a lot personally from your comments, from your business insights, and I'm pretty much sure that the players in the industry who will see and listen this will learn as well a lot. Thank you for your open words. Thank you for really sharing your experiences in a situation as I mentioned in the introduction, Messe Frankfurt has never experienced, but from what I learn and hear from you, you have a similar case in your industry that COVID-19 is really something we never had, and hopefully someone of you said this will be a lifetime crisis which we'll not experience hopefully again soon in the future. Therefore, we learned a lot. We learned and we totally agree that we will offer as our product service a balance in the future between the analog and the digital world. This is very clearly a must. This is exactly what you request. And this is very clearly, there's no discussion, future mix in our portfolio at Automechanika and all other shows around the world, which Messe Frankfurt will do. So thank you to all of you. This was the first business talk on Automechanika. There will be, as I mentioned, a series of talks to follow up. The dates will be available and will be seen on the Automechanika website. Let me thank you again to all of you. I wish all of you stay strong, stay healthy, yourself, your families, and your employees. And I'm really looking forward to have a lot of digital discussion with you. But as I said at the beginning, I'm really hungry to personally see you in face and person, hopefully pretty soon at this. So thank you. All the best to you. Good luck. And I wish all the best to you, that your business may recover and we're going to see us pretty soon. Thank you. Have a wonderful day and a nice weekend. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, everybody. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Michael, thank you.